injection molding. So most of the polymer parts you see, which are commonly used for applications in houses or in industries, most of those finished products are manufactured by using injection molding process. So injection molding is very similar to hot chamber die casting. If you have ever heard of hot chamber die casting, so in this process, the pellets or granules, they are fed into a heated cylinder where they are melted, and then this melt is forced into a split die chamber either by a hydraulic plunger or by a rotating screw of an extruder. So most modern equipments is of the reciprocating screw type. As the pressure builds up at the mold entrance, the rotating screw starts to move backward under pressure to a predetermined distance, and this controls the volume of material to be injected. So I will just show you one video. So this is a injection molding machine, and you can see this is the screw, reciprocating type of screw. It may either be fed using the hydraulic cylinder, or maybe it may be a screw kind of thing. So it goes into the die. This die remains heated, and the material which ejects and the product comes out. Say process of making bucket. So you can see here dies, various pressure controlling units and various uh, thermal controlling units remain there in order to melt it to sufficient degree. Generally, this process can be used to do mass production, and it produces parts which are very finished. So, so this extruder, this forces the plastic into this split die chamber, and the pressure difference actually controls the volume of the material which is required to be injected. So mostly it is controlled by hydraulic system. The whole motion of the of pushing the material into the die is controlled by hydraulic system at a very high pressure, and the pressure generally remains in the range of 70 to 200 megapascals. This is injection molding pressure. Most common examples of injection molding products include cups, containers, housing tools, handles, knobs, electrical and communication components such as your cell phone, part of your cell phones, toys, and all the finished polymer products you see in your life. They are all made by injection molding process. So in fact, 95% of all the plastic parts in the whole world is made by injection molding process. For thermoplastics, the molds are not required to be heated up to a large temperature. Okay, so for thermoplastics, cool molds are required. But for thermosets, the molds are required to work at a high temperature. For thermosets, heated molds are required. Why heated mold? Because thermosets are required to be polymerized, and cross-linking takes place inside the mold only. Okay, for polymerization and cross-linking process. So in either case, after the part is sufficiently cooled, or, or for thermosets it is cured, the molds are open and then part is ejected. The molds are again closed, and then this process is repeated automatically. So most of the thermosets and thermoplasts can be manufactured using injection molding method. One most schematic video I wish to show you. So you have seen in this video the working method or the process for producing the injection molding parts. So you have seen this is also very similar to the extrusion process you have heard earlier. So extrusion is also a part of injection molding, but injection molding uh, is a bit different from extrusion process, as extrusion just produces filaments. Okay, the output of extrusion process is filament, but the output of injection molding process is part, whole part or part of the part, because the ejected material is directly fed into the mold. So this is the only difference between extrusion and injection molding process. So elastomers, it means rubbers, they can also be injection molded, and molds with moving and unscrew mandrels are also used. So they allow the molding of parts with multiple cavities and internal and external thread. Because the material is molten when injected into the mold, complex shapes and good dimensional accuracy can be achieved. However, as in metal casting, the molded part shrinks during this cooling. Also, you should note that the plastics have higher coefficient of thermal expansion. Okay, plastics have higher thermal expansion coefficient compared to metals. So linear shrinkage of plastic is generally higher than metals when cooling takes place, and linear shrinkage generally varies between 0.005 to 0.025 mm per mm, which is very, very less. It is from 5 micron to 25 micron. And for per mm, if this is the dimensional difference, then it is almost negligible. And that is why most of the injection molding parts are of the same dimension as desired and do not require post processing, thus saving a lot of money, which is generally invested in, in post processing for the parts made out of metals. Volumetric shrinkage generally varies from 1.5 to 7%. However, this shrinkage can also be taken care of by oversizing the molds. Okay, so we can make molds of little bit smaller dimension than desired in order to get the parts, finished part of the dimension as desired. So there are various aspects of injection molding machine. One is the most important one is molds. So injection molds have several components depending upon the part design, such as runners, coals, cavities, very similar to the casting process you studied. Then there are cooling channels, various inserts, knockout pins and ejectors. So a lot of parts are there into the molds. There are three basic types of mold. One is cold runner, two plate mold. And this is the simplest design of the mold available, and this is generally used for thermoplastics. Then there are cold runner with three plates. This is also used for thermoplastics. But in this three plate system, runner system is separated from the part after the mold is opened. Okay? And it does not remain into the part, which, and it is, then it is not required to separate it separately. So it becomes a part of one of the plate and it remains there and it comes out as the molds are separated. Then there are hot runner molds. They are also called runnerless mold, in which the molten material is kept hot in a heated runner plate. Okay. In cold runner molds, The solidified plastic in the channel that connects the mold cavity to the end of the barrel must be removed, usually by trimming. Okay? And this scrap is usually chopped and recycled. In hot runner molds, which are more expensive, there are no gates, or maybe there may not be any sprue attached to the part. And cycle times are shorter because only the injection molding part is required to be cooled. Metallic components such as screws, pins, and strips can also be placed in the mold cavity, thereby becoming an integral part of injection molded product. So, multi-component injection molding, which is also called co-injection or sandwich molding, allows the forming of the parts with a combination of colors and shapes. Okay, so multiple dies can be used with multiple barrels. So if you have seen multicolor molding or rear light covers for automobiles and various ball joints made of different material, then there is a possibility that they have been made using the multi-component injection molding process. Injection molding is a very high rate production process with very good dimensional control, and the cycle time usually varies from 5 seconds to 1 minute, but also sometimes it may be several minutes for thermosetting materials. The molds are generally made of tool steel or beryllium copper alloy and may have multiple cavities so that more than one part can be made in one cycle. Okay. So mold design and control of material flow in the die cavities are important factors in the quality of product. Other factors that also affect the part quality include injection pressure, temperature, and condition of the resin. Various computer models have been developed to study the flow of material in dies and thereby improving the die design and establish appropriate process parameters. Injection molding machines are generally horizontal. You have seen just in the previous video. And clamping force on the dies is supplied generally by hydraulic means, although electrical types are also available. Electrically driven models weigh less and are quieter than hydraulic machines. Vertical machines are used for making small close tolerance parts and for insert molding. Injection molding machines are rated according to the capacity of the mold and the clamping force. Although in most machine the force generally ranges from 100 to 250 ton. तो ज़्यादातर इंजेक्शन मोल्डिंग मशीन्स जो अवेलेबल है वो
लोग रह जाए
100 to 250 टन्स में अवेलेबल है. This is the clamping force. Although machines up to 5,000 tons are also available and can produce parts weighing up to 25 kg. However, parts typically weigh most of the injection molding parts, they have weight less than 1 kg, most of them, because this clamping force is actually the main factor which can increase the cost of the injection molding machine significantly. Modern machines are equipped with microprocessors and microcomputers, where in the control panel, all the aspects of operations can be controlled manually. Dies have really high cost, and sometimes the cost may range from $220,000 to $200,000. So it is the die which is most costly. Okay, and this cost may be 20K dollars to 200K dollars. The other injection molding process is called over molding and ice cold molding. Over molding and ice cold molding. So, over molding is a technique for producing only in one operation all the hinge joints, ball and socket joints, or you can say in this process, two different plastics are used to ensure that no bond will form between the two parts, which may interfere with the free movement of the components. Okay. So, uh, if you want to make a product which has two different parts and have relative motion with each other, both the parts move, so you do not require both the parts to get stick. So in that case, over molding is used. Ice cold molding uses the same kind of plastic to form both the components, such as in hinge. Okay. And the process takes place in one cycle and involves a two cavity mold using cooling insert positions such that no bond forms between the two pieces. So I will also show you some pictures and videos of over molding and ice cold molding later. The other one process is reaction injection molding. इसको RIM रिम भी बोलते हैं. So in this rim process, a mixture of two or more reactive fluids are forced into the mold cavity, and the chemical reaction then takes place rapidly in the mold, and the polymer solidifies, produces a thermoset part. Okay. तो दो तरह का पॉलीमर मोल्ड में इंसर्ट किया जाता है और दोनों इनसाइड द मोल्ड रिएक्ट करते हैं, and this reaction takes place inside the mold. Most major applications include automotive bumpers, uh, benders, thermal insulations for refrigerator and freezers, various structural components. तो रिएक्शन का सीधा सा एक ही मतलब है कि वो थर्मोसेट्स के लिए ज़्यादातर यूज़ होता है, और क्योंकि मोल्डिंग के अंदर ही पॉलीमराइजेशन और क्रॉस लिंकिंग प्रोसेस होता है, इसलिए दो तरह के पॉलीमर्स को उसके अंदर डाल के फिर कोई भी ऐसा केमिकल भी डालते हैं जिसके कारण दोनों में रिएक्शन हो और दोनों में प्रॉपर बॉन्ड हो जाए। Similarly, we have got one machine which is called structural foam molding. So the structural foam molding process is used to make plastic products that have a solid skin and a cellular inner structure. मतलब बाहर का जो पार्ट है वो सॉलिड है और अंदर जो है वो सेल्यूलर है, और यू कैन से hollow part. Hollow is probably not the very correct word, but a cellular structure you can say, which has a lot of free space. So typical products include furniture components, TV cabinets, various business machines having foam inside. Then there is injection foam molding. ये क्या होता है? इसमें इसको गैस एसिस्ट मोल्डिंग भी बोलते हैं. So thermoplastics are generally mixed with a blowing agent, mostly an inert gas such as nitrogen, or maybe with a chemical agent that produces gas during the molding, which actually expands the polymer. Let's discuss one problem. Let's say we have a 980 kilonewton injection molding machine. This is generally the clamping force, okay? And it is required to make 110 dia spur gear, and it has a thickness of 10 Okay? The gears have a very fine tooth profile. Then how many gears can be injection molded in one set of molds? And the question is, first part is, how many gears can be injection molded in one set of molds? And the other part is that, does the thickness of gears influence our answer or not? So how to address this? See, we need a very fine tooth detailing on the spur gear. So the pressure required in the mold cavity will probably be in the higher range. And when we require high precision, we generally put a pressure of approximately 100 megapascals. If it is not given, you can assume this part. Okay. This is the pressure required in order to produce uh, a very high surface finish 110 dia spur gear. So if you see the cross sectional area of gear, कितना हो जाएगा? Pi into 110 square by 4. So this is approximately 9503 square. So how much force is required? If this is the cross sectional area, then 9503 mm square into अगर हमें 100 मेगा पास्कल का प्रेशर चाहिए तो 100 इंटू 10⁶ पास्कल्स. तो अगर इसको हम कैलकुलेट करें, पास्कल्स इज न्यूटन पर मीटर स्क्वायर, करेक्ट? सो जस्ट आई एम ट्राइंग टू राइट न्यूटन पर मीटर स्क्वायर, और 9503 स्क्वायर है. अगर इसको मीटर स्क्वायर में कन्वर्ट करें तो डिवाइडेड बाई 10⁶ हो जाएगा. So this will become approximately 950.3 kilonewton, and the capacity of the machine is 980 kilonewton. Therefore, the mold can accommodate only one cavity, okay, producing only one gear per cycle, because it does not influence the cross sectional area of the gear. The thickness of the gear does not directly influence the pressure involved. So even if you use a thickness of 10 or 20 or 30 this becomes immaterial, because only the diameter, it means that uh, cross sectional area is important, because we are required to push it or to apply the force on the cross sectional area only. तो हमें कम से कम इतना फोर्स का ज़रूरत है, 950.3 किलो न्यूटन फोर्स का ज़रूरत है फॉर मेकिंग दिस हाई प्रिसीजन गियर, and we have a machine of 980 kilonewton, and therefore only one gear set can be produced, so we should have only one cavity. So the last topic of this molding process or injection molding process is blow molding. So, so blow molding is something like this, that there is this extruder. अगर आपने पानी की टंकी वगैरह प्लास्टिक की देखी होगी, वो सब ब्लो मोल्डिंग से बनती है. तो एक एक्सट्रूडर होता है और उसमें ये मटेरियल एक्सट्रूड हो रहा है, and then there is this mold. It may be your water bottle. Okay, this is the mold for a bucket, or maybe for, and there is a knife. And then here it remains a blow pin. So a tube is generally inserted from the extruder. Generally, it remains a vertical process, a vertical molding process. And then this tube, which is pushed into the cavity, which is much larger than the tube's diameter, and then it is blown outward to fill the mold cavity. And blowing is generally done with air blast at a pressure of approximately 350 to 700 kilopascals. Okay. So at a very high pressure, the extruder extrudes it into the semi-liquid state, this tube, and then it applies very large pressure in form of a blow. तो ये क्या होता है, ये on the boundary, it gets stuck on the boundary of the mold. So these are the some of the most common molding process. However, recently a lot of new molding processes have been developed, like, but they are just variant of these, like rotational molding, जिसमें centrifugal force involved होता है, and then there may be some thermoforming. Then there is compression molding. More or less, they are all similar to this blow molding process. Okay. And then this transfer molding. Various new molding processes have been developed very recently, but all of these are in particular important in context of production. So this was all about injection molding process, and mostly about polymers. There is one more process remaining about polymers is stereolithography. क्योंकि आजकल स्टीरियोलिथोग्राफी भी बहुत कॉमनली यूज होती है प्लास्टिक के पार्ट्स बनाने में. तो स्टीरियोलिथोग्राफी क्या होती है कि इसमें इट इज अबाउट क्योरिंग ए लिक्विड पॉलीमर इनटू ए स्पेसिफिक शेप, नथिंग एल्स. सो इसको थोड़ा सा और एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं, बट लेट्स सी. Consider what happens when a laser beam is focused on and translated across the surface of a liquid photopolymer. Okay, let's say you have a resin. रेजिन क्या है? लिक्विड पॉलीमर है ना। और इसके ऊपर जब हम लोग लेज़र बीम फोकस करते हैं तो it gives some energy in form of light, and the part of the polymer which receives this energy gets solidified. So this focused laser beam actually solidifies the resin or the plastic into some specified shape, and because this is a very directed way of transferring the energy using the laser, the parts which come out are also of very good surface finish as well as to the accurate dimensions. So this laser beam here serves to cure the photopolymer by providing the energy necessary for polymerization. So laser energy is absorbed by this polymer. And if you have ever heard of Beer-Lambert law, then Beer-Lambert law says that energy as a function of depth, laser beam energy as a function of depth is given by E0 to the power minus z over certain depth. I am writing dp. Okay, this is in terms of energy equation for Beer-Lambert law. इसने Beer-Lambert law ने एनर्जी के टर्म्स में भी दिया है और इंटेंसिटी के टर्म्स में भी दिया है. सो आई एम जस्ट राइटिंग इट इन टर्म्स ऑफ एनर्जी. What is Ez? Ez is energy at depth z. And what is E naught? E naught is energy at exposing surface. Okay, z is equal to 0. इसका मतलब एकदम टॉप पे जो एनर्जी है उसकी वैल्यू है ई नॉट, और आफ्टर सर्टेन डेप्थ जो एनर्जी है वो एटेन्यूएट होती है और वो हो जाती है ई जेड. What is z? Is it is depth, and what is dp? It is penetration depth at this laser wavelength, and it is a property of laser beam. Okay, penetration depth at particular laser wavelength and is a property of resin. Resin means liquid polymer. तो हमने क्या किया, हमने एक एनर्जी दी यहाँ पे इस रेजिन को, एंड देन दिस लेजर बीम क्योर्स एट अप टू सर्टेन डेप्थ. क्योर का मतलब है कि सॉलिडिफाई हो जाना. तो ये पॉलीमर एक सर्टेन डेप्थ तक सॉलिडिफाई हो जाता है व्हेन लेजर बीम इज अप्लाइड. तो at the cure depth the uh, polymer must have the enough energy for it to get cured. So you can say at the cure depth I am writing EC is actually E0 to the power minus, let's say cure depth is CD. CD divided by penetration depth dp. पेनिट्रेशन डेप्थ का एक मतलब सीधा सा ये होता है कि इट्स ए डेप्थ जहां तक कि लेजर बीम एटेन्यूएट हो जाती है अप टू सर्टेन लेवल। ओके, उसके नीचे लेजर बीम की एनर्जी इतनी कम हो जाती है कि उसका कोई अस्तित्व नहीं रहता है और वो कुछ कर नहीं सकती है। तो डीपी एक तरह से एक रेजिन की ही प्रॉपर्टी है। So you can say by seeing this equation, EC is the exposure necessary to transform the working liquid to semi solid or maybe a gel, and CD is cure depth. Then you can write here that CD is actually dp, that is the penetration depth, log of E naught by EC. So which actually represents the thickness at which the resin has been polymerized. Curing depth is nothing. Curing is the process of polymerization. So uh, it is the depth of polymerization, or up to which the polymer has been converted into gel. The polymer at the periphery of laser spot does not receive sufficient exposure to get polymerized. So ऐसा मान सकते हैं कि जैसे ही ये लेज़र बीम गिरता है तो जो एरिया इसके बीम के ठीक नीचे है वो तो पॉलीमराइज्ड हो जाता है, लेकिन सराउंडिंग के जो एरियाज हैं वो पॉलीमराइज नहीं होते हैं because they do not receive sufficient energy. Polymerization generally takes place in z direction, just beneath the laser beam, and not in x and y direction. So the polymer at the periphery of laser does not receive sufficient exposure to get polymerized, and it can be shown that the cured line width, ये जो लाइन है जहाँ पे क्योरिंग हो रही है, जिस पार्ट की भी क्योरिंग हो रही है उसको बोलते हैं क्योर्ड लाइन विड्थ, LW। at the surface is given by formula B under root CD by 2dp। okay? जहाँ पे B क्या है वो है लेज़र बीम डायमीटर, लेज़र बीम स्पॉट डायमीटर। तो आप ऐसा मान सकते हैं कि ये लाइन विड्थ जो है वो एग्जैक्टली लेज़र बीम के डायमीटर के जैसे नहीं है, लेकिन उसमें थोड़ा सा चेंज होता है, और ये वैल्यू दिस वन affects this line width। लाइन विड्थ क्या है? इट इज़ द विड्थ जो कि क्योर्ड हुआ है लेज़र बीम का के इफेक्ट के कारण, जो क्योरिंग हुई है उसका जो विड्थ है उसको बोलते हैं क्योरिंग लाइन विड्थ, LW। So this is all about stereolithography process. So do you have any question? So if not, I will be ending today's meeting. Thank you.